Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another weekly outlook video. So hopefully this week's video will be a little bit quicker. So I've already kind of gone through and scanned the pairs that I thought were looking a little bit interesting. So I'll just run through them with you here on the analysis video. So as usual, starting with GBPAUD. We've had GBPAUD in this massive downtrend for quite a while. However, recently we had it break these, this kind of longer term trend line. I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's a shorter term trend line, right? Because you kind of have this massive downtrend. So it's been this trend line that was kind of been forming for the last couple of months, since back in October last year. So we had quite a few touches here, and then it broke through. Later on in January, spiked above, kind of retested this level here and started to drop. So I mean, my overall bias on this is bearish price action, but I'm thinking because of the way that it broke this trend line, we might be able to get a push off of this kind of minor level on the lower time frames. So I've got an alert set just above the level, just to see what it does if it pulls back into the level, shows some signs of rejection. Kind of maybe something like this, retest the broken trend line. So retest this longer term broken trend line. All right, retest, show some rejection. Maybe, maybe these highs here actually would be a little bit more valid, right? Maybe these highs here. I don't know. We'll just have to see what it wants to do. So I'll just be keeping my eye on it this week to see what happens. And if I see some kind of nice-ish price action, then some nice rejection, I'll just pull this down a little bit deeper here. Yeah, so if it kind of pulls back close to that level, then I'll look for some rejection and maybe look for a long opportunity. My bias is to the downside, but I believe it's already kind of starting to make that push lower. So I'm just looking to see if I'll get a little bit of a reaction around this area. If I don't, then, if I see a clear breakthrough back into the trend, then I'll look for short positions, right? So, if it kind of pushes way lower, it comes back up, retests, and then I'll look for further shorts. So something like that. There's nothing 100% clear on it. I just have it on the list to keep my eye on it. GBPCAD. So this one's pretty simple. So this analysis was for this week. I said if it was to push back into this level, which it did the week before, if it was to push back into the level, then I'll look for another opportunity. However, my bias on this has changed. I'm still looking for long opportunities on this pair. But for me to get involved in a long opportunity, I'd like to see a very clear breakthrough of the highs, come back with some retest with some rejection, and then look for long opportunities. What we might see actually play out from this level, because we have this major resistance in the past, we might actually see it kind of just push a little bit higher, show some rejection, and then actually just kind of pull back down into this, kind of maybe to these levels here, maybe to the trend line, I don't know. But that is something that might also occur, right? So one of the two things will happen. I wouldn't be looking for short positions. I'd only look for long positions on this pair. And, I'd only take long positions if we see a nice clear break above, come back, retest with some rejection, and then look for long opportunities. I'll just change that to red. GBPCHF. So this one already played out this week. So unfortunately, as I mentioned, I didn't catch this opportunity. But what I'd be looking at from here is, because of that big bullish candle, right? And we obviously in this very, very clear uptrend, right? What I'd be looking for is a continued momentum move above the highs. So if it continues to push higher, break through those highs. If it does, then I'll look for it to come back, retest. Right, so push higher, retest, and then look for further long positions. All right, so I'll keep an eye on this week. I'll change it to yellow just in case, because I'll pay closer attention to it on the 4-hour time frame, right? So I'll look to see how it continues on this time frame. So I might be able to catch an earlier entry. GBPJPY, same sort of deal, I believe. So we already had GJ. So basically last week, the two options I was looking at was a deeper retracement. I'll go to the 4-hour time frame, right? Just so we could see it clearer. So I was looking for this move here to pull just a little bit deeper into the level, which it didn't. I mean, it kind of did if I took into consideration this wick here. Then yes, technically it did pull into the level, right? But I just wanted that slightly deeper retracement, just to show a little bit more conviction. Come back into the level just a little bit deeper and then look for the long opportunity. Unfortunately, I didn't catch an entry on this, so I missed that move. So what I'll be looking at from here, because we had price breaking these highs, right? What I'll be looking at from here, yeah, I'll just neaten this up a little bit more, take into consideration the more recent price action. Right, so if, I don't know, we might actually see it pull back to these lows here, right? I mean, these highs here, right? Either one of these, right? So I guess this one looks a little bit more valid. I don't know. But what I'll be looking for regardless is it to push back into this level, show some rejection, and then look for a push higher, right? So something like that I'll be looking at for, in this upcoming week. GBPUSD. So let's have a look. Daily time frame. Right. So we had price break these recent highs on the daily time frame. Right. It didn't quite push back into the level. But if you see on the 4-hour time frame, you know, it kind of did push lower, but you know, I was just expecting it to pull that a little bit deeper. What I'll be looking at from here on these time frames is to see a continued move higher. You know, same old story. Let's look for a continued move higher, come back, retest with rejection, and then look for further long opportunities. If that doesn't happen, then you know, no trades will be had. Obviously, we could just see it kind of just sell from here, right, and just push back deeper. Who knows? All right, Euro AUD. So on this one, so when I did my last analysis, I said either we'll see it continue to crack higher, break the trend line, maybe show some rejection at this level, come back to the trend line, and then look for a momentum move. That didn't happen. Instead, the second scenario did play out. So kind of had price in this, you know, pushing lower, right? So kind of had this sort of consolidation and then a stronger move lower. So for this week, what I'll be looking for on this pair is just more short opportunities. But because of where price is right now, I'd like to see it break these lows quite convincingly, show that it has a lot of momentum to the downside. What that would look like for me is just a clear breakthrough, lower, strong move, come back up, retest with rejection, and then look for further short opportunities. EURNZD. So this one is kind of at an interesting spot. So we have this level here that I had identified, and then we had price make that strong move lower, came back up. It did show some rejection on, you can kind of see it is a little bit unclear, right? I'll just go to the lower time frame. So yeah, so we had, this is the level on the daily time frame. We could just neaten it up a little bit. Actually, now that, you know, I've pulled it a little bit lower to the actual level, you can kind of see it broke through the level and it's currently testing the level from above. So we just have to, I'll just keep an eye on it to see what happened, right? But I would still just be looking for short opportunities on this pair, because you know, as normal, we kind of in this massive downtrend, right? So no point trying to fight gravity, just look for trades in the direction of the main trend, right? So that's what I'm looking for. We did have this massive move lower. It did come back up into the level I drawn out here by this arrow. So this is what I was looking for, it to come back into the level. It did, but you could see here it broke all the way through, right? And it's kind of rejecting it. It tried to push lower. I don't know. So it's not 100% clear. Clearer move. I mean, we did have this big bearish candle, right? So you know what, for me on this pair, what I would look for, I'm now looking at this lower time frame, what I would be looking for, I'll just leave this upper level in place, right? But what I'll be looking for is a continued move lower past these lows here, a nice move lower, come back up, retest it, and then look for short positions, right? So that's what I'll be looking for on this pair. EURUSD, on the contrary, I'll be looking for long positions on this because we've been in this massive uptrend for a while. This is the level I identified on the daily time frame, which it did test, right? It did test, it showed rejection, and it bounced straight away, right? But for now, what I'll be looking at, what I'll be looking for on this pair, because we haven't had any, you know, very clear levels being formed. Clearest level for me is kind of around this area here where I have this minor zone. Reason I'm saying that is because we had this low here, spiked into the level here, showed rejection here, broke through, came back up, tested it here, pushed lower, and then it broke through, right? And broke this shorter term trend line, right? Yes, we did have a dip beneath the longer term trend line, but it came back up and started respecting it again, right? And then we had this kind of massive push higher, and it tried to push lower to grab some liquidity and stuff, but it kind of rejected this level here, right? So it's not really forming any clear levels for me, that it just rejected this kind of level here, right? So right there. So what I'll be looking for is some sort of clear movement, right? Some very clear movement. And what that will look like for me is quite possibly, just move that over. What that will look like for me is a continued move higher. Come back, retest this level of these highs here, and look for long opportunities. If that does set up, then I'll look for an entry around this level. If price decides to push lower, right, and just kind of do something like this and come back to the trend line in confluence with this sort of level here that's being formed, then I'll also look for long opportunities around there, right? So, you know, we could see price do something like that. I don't know, right? You don't know what, we don't know what will happen. But, you know, we could see something like that, right? But I'll only be looking for long opportunities on this pair. So I'll just keep an eye on it for this week. USDCHF. So it's exactly the same as EURUSD, just the kind of inverse, right? So whichever setup looks the most clear for me, that's what I'll be trading, right? What I wanted to see happen on this pair after it broke through this level here, which is a major daily level of the past, I wanted it to kind of push higher, come back and retest this level here, and then I'd enter the short position. But we just saw price continue to sell, right? It broke through this minor trend line, just like EURUSD came back up, is currently retesting it and showing rejection, right? So it's starting to push lower. So what I'll be looking for on this pair is just a continued move lower, right? So if it continues to push lower, maybe come back up, retest these lows here, maybe even retest this level that is currently at, something along those lines, and then look for further short opportunities, right? That's gonna be the clearest setup for me. the clearest level right now that seems to be respected is obviously these lows here. Right, so that would be the most recent level that was created together with these highs here, but I'm looking for short opportunities. So if this sort of sets up like that or like that, then you know I'd look for short opportunities on this pair. I just have to keep an eye on it and see what price is doing when it gets to either one of these levels, if it even does, right? USDJPY. So this one is kind of at an interesting point. So I'll just actually jump to the daily time frame. So we have this sort of, yeah, it's not the most convincing trend, but it is I mean, the trend is obvious, right? It's a clear downtrend. But, you know, by connecting these two initial highs here, price came and touched and respected this level. So I think this is the most valid trend line that exists currently. There's a ton of other trend lines in here that I could probably draw, but this seems the most clear for me, right? So we had price push all the way up to the trend line, respected these highs here in confluence with the trend line, and then we saw this massive sell-off, right? And then on the lower time frame, in fact it's even on a 1 hour time frame, I believe. Yeah, there you go. So you have this level here that was created, right? So I've just been studying supply and demand the last couple of weeks, so I just have these in here as a, you know, just for demonstration purposes for myself, so you could just ignore that for now. But you can see here, right, where it created this kind of bearish flag pattern. Price spiked back up into the area, grabbed whatever liquidity it had to, and started to push lower, right? Came back up for a second test, and then it had this massive move lower. So I'll be interested to see if I see some clear levels, maybe even on this 1 hour time frame. If I see some clear levels that are being formed, then I'll look for some short opportunities on this pair. I did draw up this kind of long setup here for myself, just to kind of see what would have happened, because on the lower time frames it's quite obvious to see we're in this uptrend, right? So, and we had this 1 hour level that was being created. So I just wanted to see how it would have played out, and it did play out quite nicely, but you know, obviously I didn't take this trade, right? I'm only looking for short positions. So I'll keep an eye on it this week. I just found it was interesting to see how it respected the quote-unquote supply and demand levels. But you know, it's just a theory, as I said, that I'm studying recently. So yeah, it's more this layout here is more for me for this week, just to keep an eye on it to see how it actually respects these levels. All right, moving on to AUDCAD. So just kind of keeping this one on my list. I don't think price, I mean, I don't know, right? You never know what will happen. I expected price to kind of push just a little bit deeper into these broken highs here, but it didn't. It found enough orders here to push higher. But it's at a stage now where it's currently testing these highs, right? So what I'd look for on this pair is obviously only long opportunities, right? So I'd look for a clear breakthrough of the highs, maybe retest these highs here, come back, grab some more orders, and look for further long opportunities. Obviously, just because we're in this massive uptrend for quite a while, right? So I'll just be looking to capitalize on that. But there's no immediate setups for me on this pair. I'll just wait around to see what happens. If I see a setup on the lower time frames, if it, you know, clearly breaks above this level, then I'd look for setups. But you could see here on the lower time frame, it looks like it's currently rejecting the level, right? So we might actually just see it, you know, trickle back down. Who knows? All right, so AUDCHF. So same sort of deal on this pair for me, right? Just looking for long opportunities. We currently had price retest these broken highs, right? So we had that level that was retested. I just drew this up here thinking it might be forming a kind of M formation, right? But I don't know, I'll just keep an eye on it just to be wary, right? Because we have this kind of this leg up. It had a corrective move, came up again, kind of formed the double top, but we having this big strong bullish move, right? So I don't know, we'll see. I'll just keep an eye on it. As usual, I'm just waiting for it to kind of break these highs here. If it comes back, shows some signs of rejection, then I would look for long opportunities. All right, so just keeping it very, very simple, very straightforward. All right, so if we have that push higher, come back down, retest with rejection, look for long opportunities. That's what I'll be looking for. AUDJPY. All right, so we had price retest the level that I had drawn up. But I didn't have my alert trigger. I think I just set my alert probably a little bit too late. But you know, price did pull back into the level. So what I'll be waiting for on this pair is just to see if it wants to pull back a little bit deeper. And if it does, then happy days. I'll look for rejection. But I know, I'll just keep an eye on it, right? It already grabbed whatever orders it had to from this level. It already made the retest. So I don't know, what might actually set up on this pair for me would be a continued move higher. All right, so a nice continued move higher off of this level, come back and retest it, all right, with some rejection, something like that. Then I'd look for long opportunities, right? Because we had this nice big bullish candle. It didn't quite have the momentum to continue just yet, but you know, we'll just keep an eye on it to see what it really wants to do. If it sets up, then I'll look for long positions. AUDUSD. All right, so this is just a trade that I'll be managing. There's no entries for me on this pair. I took my entry on a retest of these levels here. I'm still currently managing this trade. On the lower time frames, there are quite a few levels that are being formed. So kind of have these highs here. We had this level here that was kind of retested and not very clear setup. But if I'm looking for scalings on this pair, I'll just look for continued moves higher on the lower time frames, come back, retest, and then look for long opportunities, right? So very straightforward. That's what I'll be looking for on this pair. But like I said, nothing super clear on it for me right now. I'll just be keeping an eye on it and managing my trade. And then last, I believe, is NZDCHF. So for this pair, we kind of have it currently testing these broken highs. It's showing some nice rejection. I am not going to trade on Sunday. I'm not going to trade on market open, but we might have a long setup here, right? Depends on where the market opens, how it opens. I'll make a decision at that point, right? But we currently have this level here that was being tested. We had price spiked beneath the level just that little bit. Probably took out some stops and then found enough liquidity to push higher on this big bullish candle here that pretty much took out all of this price action. So I mean, we might very well see a nice setup taking place on this very soon. I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe if it does pull back into this level, maybe these highs here, something like that, I'll probably look for long opportunities, right? I'll set an alert right here. Where is it? Add alert. Let's just see. Okay, so yeah, if that kind of pulls back into this level, I'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. It might actually even pull back into these highs here. I don't know. I'll just keep an eye on it, right? And if that sets up, then I'll look for long opportunities. And we have this nice sort of possible W formation, right? We have that leg down, we have that move up, deeper move lower. So then we might just see that sort of happen, right? So I'll be keeping an eye on it. Like I said, if it sets up, then happy days, I'll get involved. If it doesn't, then, you know, plenty more opportunities that look pretty good for the week. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for me this week. As usual, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, feel free to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Leave a like, leave a comment, and if you want to if you want to and you do subscribe, you know, thank you, and I'll look forward to you joining me on my trading journey. All right, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.